So what we're going to be doing here is we're going to be using a felt tip pen, and we're going to draw this very simple composition of a sunflower, something Van Gogh did. And I'm just going to start with generally with a light blue. You could start with pencil, and once again, because it's an organic object, you can exaggerate the forms, and they don't have to be 100% accurate. You know, I can really make my drawing fill up the page nicely. So I'm going to get the general shape of the leaves in, and I'm using a light blue, and I'm going straight with the felt tip pen into my general shapes, just to get them in. I realize that because the main color, predominant color, is yellow, and I'm going to use quite a bit of orange with it, that the blue is going to come through into the yellow, because the yellow is much more transparent than the blue. Right, so once I've got the general shapes in, I'm going to start with the background, and I'll just start with a loose hatched mark and get my background in nice and quickly, varied between hatched and cross hatched. Of course, the sky is sort of a flat surface. I can use a flat line to sketch it in, and you can see if I use more of the tip, I get a sharper line, and more of the side, I'll get a much blunter line, you know, bolder line that I can scratch in. Okay, now I don't want my background to be perfectly flat. I think it's going to be quite boring as on a photograph. So I'm going to leave my hatch lines visible, and also I'm going to vary the blues that I'm going to use. I'm not going to just use one blue. So I get my first, working in layers, get my first layer in. And with felt tip, as with pen, you could use some white Tipp-Ex with it if you make mistakes, but generally one tries to get in, especially if you get a nice Tipp-Ex you can draw with. Okay, so because I want to improve on the photograph in this drawing, I want it to look like a drawing and a sketch, and I want it to look like I've used these felt tip pens or Kirkis on purpose for a reason. It's not just by accident that one would choose these. Right, then I can switch over to my next darkest color, and I can just get some more form in. So we're on our second layer now. I just want to see how this is going. And typical with the sky, if you observe it very carefully, you'll see that it's lighter towards the horizon, getting more deeper, darker color as it moves. As you look up the sky towards 90-degree angle above your head. So it's something just to observe. The reason for that is that there's more dust between you and the horizon in the atmosphere than straight up ahead. So therefore the dust refracts light, making the light look slightly, making the blue look slightly lighter, the more light that reflects off the dust between you and the deep blue sky. composition is predominantly in the center is yellow since it's a sunflower. So we just want to get this yellow in. Now the yellow is a very transparent color, we realize that. And so I'm going to block it in first as a yellow, using my lightest yellow, just to get the brightness in. I'm not too worried about going outside my lines. It'll just add to a sense of quickness and urgency to the growth of the plant, so the plant actually feels like it's growing. Now we've got a curved object, so I'm going to start curving my lines as well to get that curvature. And yeah, that's, you can say, making it almost like a star shape. That's no accident that I'm working out. So it's like a burst, a flower burst. So this is going to be a very loose drawing I'm going to create here. We move to the next yellow. And once I'm on this yellow here, I can start putting in some of the detail as well. Let's get a feel for the color first. And this is a nice rich yellow. As far as cookies go, this could be seen as the first layer was a lemon yellow if it was oil paint, and the second layer would here now is using a cadmium yellow, rich deep cadmium yellow. And you can see we're now picking up the orangeness in the leaves. And I'm using the scribble technique. There's a ring of upright seeds here that we're going to want to capture later. That's part of the detail. As I explained right from the beginning, the blue lines in the undercoat there is going to stay. They're not going to be covered. So we've got a little bit of the stem going. Of course, it's a sort of a wet medium. It's a good idea to also let your layers dry before adding the next layer. Right, now I'm going to take what in oil color would be called a yellow ochre for a darker yellow. And you can see it's immediately darker, so this is going to help cover those initial lines, but we're not too worried if they are visible in the end of the drawing. We're not going to really be upset about that. Nice loose strokes capture the feeling of light striking the leaf, trying to create some contrast between the leaves, because the contrast will give a sense of light. We don't want to cover the whole leaf. I'll just use those first layers and that'll make the drawing become quite labored. I just want to catch the shadow across there quickly. A ring of upright seeds. A lot of people ask me where's the music coming from. Okay, so basically I'm working in my studio at the moment. This is the downstairs part. It's a 2-story studio, and down here is where the fire is. In winter, it's heating it up. And upstairs is where I do most of my work. Beautiful sun-filled room. And up there is where the music system is going. Using dashed lines to pick up the sense of seeds in this area. Yeah, I think I've got a nice sense of spontaneity. In the shadows, there's always a bit of blue, and that's why I said, the Impressionists discovered that, and a mathematician. And that there are no blacks and shadows, and so the Impressionists applied that. And since we've chosen a sunflower seed and Van Gogh is our master on that, and pay tribute to him, we're not going to use any black. So this dark oil paint would be called the Prussian nice cold greeny blue, Prussian blue. We applied. Obviously it's not a pure Prussian because this is filter pen once again, and the color names will vary as they can't always mix the perfect colors. But you can see it's making it quite strong. If you look at the original picture, the sky is a light blue. I'm making mine a bit more moody, my drawing. Trying to get using the dashes again, trying to get the sense of the seeds. Sometimes just ending off with a bit of a motive lines, giving a bit of direction. And it's an organic form, so you can work nice and loosely. I've used quite sharp-tipped felt tip pens. You can also use broad-tipped ones. Also works very nicely. Just gives you a different effect. It's good to experiment with the two effects. And different pens, you can even combine them in one drawing. Some sort of bits of green. It's called radiosity. So that's why I didn't mind blurring the two colors together around the drawing, just to give it some life. And in nature, this is how your eye sees colors, and one bounces off the other. Mathematician I was talking about earlier, his name was Chauvel, if you're interested in looking him up and looking at what his discoveries included. The Van Gogh sunflower sold for $24 million. I think it was. I might be corrected on that, but I was just wondering if I could sell mine for $24 million as well. Maybe not. You can see the bits of white that I've left. It's had to be bits of the paper. because unless you're using Tipex, you can't build up to the, the white koki, if one has one, won't really work over the darker colors. And what I'm playing at the moment is Verdi opera. If you're interested, just getting back to that topic. And it's recorded off original vinyl. If any of you watching this know what vinyl is even. Right, and I think there's my sunflower seed.